and gentlemen, good afternoon. Hello and welcome in to episode number 68. Episode 68, right here live and direct on RaceON.com on a beautiful weekday afternoon here in the Arklatex region as we are getting closer and closer to racing getting kicked off here in the Arklatex as the Wild West Shootout just wrapped up over there at Central Arizona Raceway in Casa Grande, Arizona. And some more great racing kicking off this week. Of course, the IMCA Winter Nationals back at the Central Arizona Raceway. That racetrack is just getting it in right now. A lot of racing between the Wild West Shootout and the Winter Nationals taking place there. A lot of other great things going on. Of course, the Chili Bowl this past weekend. The AFC, the NFC Championship games are set for the National Football League. It'll be the New England Patriots versus the Denver Broncos next week without their starting quarterback for the Broncos. Bo Nix goes down with a broken ankle. Insert Jarrett Stidham into the roster, former Auburn Tigers starting quarterback, won an SEC West title over there, I think back in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. But, hey, that's enough for now on all the football, but we will get into it as I bring on my co-host of this podcast. He's from Alexandria, Louisiana. Is my man Cortland Smith. As here he is. Cortland,
yes, sir.
Last night, dude, I know you're a huge sports fan. You used to play offensive line. We've kind of talked about the battle of the trenches, right, these last couple of weeks. We've kind of briefly talked about sports. We've talked about football, talked about the NFL there. But, man, last night, truthfully, if you're a fan of sports and you watched last night the national championship between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Miami Hurricanes, and you paid attention to any of the story building up to this game, or if you paid attention to any of the sports all year long and paid attention to Indiana's story and their turnaround, it is undoubtedly, unquestionably one of the greatest sports stories in the history of sports. And I don't think that's just my opinion. I think a lot of people feel that way. One of the greatest turnarounds. This team literally went 1-9 of the Big Ten Conference just 2 years ago, was one of the worst teams in Division I football, right? In the entire NCAA, one of the worst teams. They hire Curt Cignetti out of the Nick Saban coaching tree. And he tells them at his introductory press conference, all the while telling everybody, screw Purdue, screw Ohio State. And he's telling everybody, I win, Google me. And it's one thing, Cortland, to stand on that kind of business, because we've seen a lot of coaches come and go right throughout the years and talk up a big game, and they don't pony up the dough. But for Curt Cignetti to truly stand on business, and just 2 years later, this isn't like he just said this 5 or 6 years ago. He said this 2 years ago when his team was down in the dumps, brought them to the college football playoff last year. They got an early departure, got beat by Oregon. But, dude, they come back this year, and they go 16-0. Their starting quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, wins the Heisman Trophy. Curt Cignetti is proven right. The transfer portal, that's another conversation. But, dude, Indiana, the Hoosiers are national champions today. And I have no problem saying that. First one ever, and this could be the start and the beginning of a massive dynasty. Who's to say in 30 years from now, you tell your kids, Cortland, or we tell our family, we remember when Indiana, it all first started, right? Like we could tell them, we remember when this thing just rolled off the trailer and they took the green flag, right? Just an incredible story, man.
They're going to make a movie about it. And it just like they've kind of said all year. And I think everybody was expecting, at some point this Cinderella story was going to come down. I don't think anybody was expecting them to get this far, but Curt Cignetti and the boys, they believed in themselves from day one. He completely turned the program around in 2 years. And is a lot of that because of the transfer portal? Yeah. And people can sit here and complain about it. It is what it is. It's the time we live in. And it's what college football is right now until they get a handle on it. You got a guy that used it to his best ability, and everybody's just mad because they weren't as good at the transfer portal and changing out than Curt Cignetti was in Indiana. Like they're not mad, they're just jealous. Like that's all there is to it. He has he's put his stamp on college football. An older guy, not this big name high, comes from James Madison. Everybody's kind of wondering, is this going to be the guy? Like, is it really and truly, is this going to be the guy, or is it eventually all going to fall away? And the Cinderella story is going to end. And by golly, he took it all the way to the national championship. And it really is a cool story. That's why we watch sports. That's why we love sports. It's this kind of not necessarily underdog story. I think anybody would tell you that Indiana team is an elite college football team. Like them dudes get down. Yeah. They're some of the most disciplined. I mean, you hear it, and I'm not saying nothing new. I mean, you heard it on the broadcast and all the weeks leading up. They are so disciplined. They are so sound, and they play football to the X's and O's to the T. I mean, there is very few times is a guy out of place or not doing what his assignment is. And that's a lot of things of football. Like, yes, you need that Jimmy or Joe that goes up there and makes these game winning plays and puts his body out there on the line and does something spectacular. But also, you need guys that just do their job, and every single one of them buy in and do their job. And you can tell Kurt Signetti's the same way. Like, he is a very, I mean, I swear his look at the camera
Yeah.
shots where they zoom in on his face and they're just direct on him. And they could score a touchdown. They could get a pick six. It's always the same exact look with an eyebrow raised. Like, but he set a standard. And, I love to hear the stories when they go talk about practice. Like, Monday is like a walkthrough, Tuesday, Wednesday, hour and a half max, but they maximize their time. There's no wasted effort, no wasted movements. And that's how you got to play football. No wasted effort, no wasted movements, because if you're a half a step off, then you're beat. So it works us all the way from the top down. And they've bought in. And now that they see the success, it's not going to take anything for players after players after players to buy in. It'd just be interesting to see if he can keep it up with the transfer portal. But just because I know
Yeah.
that roster is a really old roster, a lot of guys maybe graduate and they may be able to stay again for another year. Just be interesting to see how long this can go. I know he's got the backing of Indiana Nation. They have showed up and showed out every single time. Mark Cuban's down there. The president of the university was on the Pat McAfee show saying, like,
Yeah.
they want college football to be legit because it creates the best college experience for any athlete. And by all means, you go to college to get an education, but you got a good football team. The kids will go to school there. Don't worry about them. They'll figure out the education after you win a national championship.
Yeah, Indiana's always been great at basketball, right? But what's wild is I
Mm-hmm.
believe it had been 50 years to the day that they'd won their last, or it had been 50 years since they won their last NCAA basketball championship. And well, I think it's been a little shorter than that. I don't think it's been quite 50 years. I think it's been a little while nonetheless. But congratulations to James Essex and all the Hoosiers. He was not shy to share his Hoosier pride every day of the week, leading up to this championship and really all year long. James is a true Hoosier, man. And for those kind of people, like, I'm fired up for him because I'll never forget what it felt like in 2003 watching LSU win the national championship, beating Ohio State when they won their first one since 1958. Of course, I wasn't alive in 1958, but when they won it in 2003 with Nick Saban, I watched it with my grandpa, and I will never forget it, man. I really never will. Justin Vincent, rookie running back at the time. We had Matt Mock starting quarterback. And then, of course, we go back and win it in '07 with Matt Flynn, huge LSU Tiger. And look, Lane Kiffin's been the portal king so far, so I'm hoping LSU can get back off the schneid and get back, competing for national championships. And I think that's exactly what's going to take place. I really do. I believe Lane Kiffin's going to bring a winning pedigree to there. And something you were saying a second ago, and we'll get off football here, but about Signetti is he's so intentional about
Yeah.
everything. Everything they do is intentional. And that's the separation, man. The separations and the preparation. They are truly a phenomenal and just a sound football team from A to Z. They earned it last night. Hey, let's give a tip of the cap to Miami too. Carson Beck throws a late
Yeah.
pick there,
Heck of a team.
sews it up for Indiana to win it. But man, Miami, very physical, in the trenches. Cody Myers, one of our local drivers, huge Miami Hurricanes fan, one of my former coworkers at Boot Hill, Kayla Key. I talked to her yesterday. By the way, that's Ben Leedy's. Can we just call her the wife now? Like, they're not technically married, but they might as well be married. Ben and y'all just tie the knot and get it over with. Quit fooling. But anyway, yeah, she's a big Miami fan. So we were talking last night, and I know they were heartbroken, but still, for your team to be playing in that game, the heartbreak hurts, but still to be playing in that game means something, and that's always pretty cool. But one recommendation I might have, let's move this calendar a little bit further up. Most people already forgot about college football and that it was even happening. You know what I mean? Like, let's move this calendar up just a little bit further, like towards New Year's Day, and see if we can't get this thing wrapped up so everybody's not already moved on to different things. So, anyway, hey, man, it's episode 68 this week, and we're almost out of the 60s. We're about to get into the 70s, and boy, I'm going to tell you, there's some good 70s off in there. But we've got a few 60s here today with episode 68. And the first one for me that comes to mind is the 2014 Boot Hill Speedway track champion of the factory stock class. I called him the Fast Coon-ass all those years, formerly from Thibodaux, Louisiana. And every time I announced his name, Cortland, over the years, I would always say that too, because I'd say the Fast Coon-ass. And I almost felt like I had to kind of defend on myself on why I would call him that. I'd be like, formerly out of Thibodaux, Louisiana, now residing in Wascom, Texas. Fast Coon-ass James Martin, but he was the man. And I don't know if folks recall, but a couple of years ago, Rob Litton drove a number 68. Went from 6X, the four-time SUPR late model champ. Rob Linton went from 6X to 68. there for just a brief amount of time. But those are the two 68s I got. I know you got something up your sleeve.
Man, give me Adam Stricker out of Ohio, super late model racer.
Stricker.
Adam Stricker, yep, out
Yeah.
of Ohio, a regular around the Florence Speedway, Brownstown, Indiana. Races up there a good bit, kind of stretching his legs out, running super late model stuff. Kind of jumped on the scene here the last couple years, but when I thought of 68, I guess I'm just a super late model guy at heart. I felt people are probably waiting on me to say a different classification when we talk about car numbers. But when we said 68, when I was starting my notes for today, before we started the show, that was the first one that come to mind. So Adam Stricker gets a little shout out here on Clark After Dark.
To be honest, after we do these every week, there are a couple extra, like when you put me on the spot, sometimes I can't think, I'll think of a couple and then later I'm like, dang it. Like I'll remember one off
Yeah.
top that I should have said that I wish I would have said,
Or
but
like
that nostalgia.
62 at the middle of the show, I go Josh Warren, like somebody
Yeah.
in the middle of the
Yeah.
show, I'll think of another one. Just give me a minute.
Yeah. So 68, not like a super prominent number, like and like we said too a couple weeks ago, like that's not a very common number. Like and even and that it goes in all aspects of sports too, right, Cortland? Like you're an offensive
Yeah.
guy, so I'm not gonna hate on the 60s, but typically offensive linemen are from number 60 through 79, right? Like
Yeah.
80 through 90 are wide receivers. Now in the NFL, they've kind of changed that rule around a little bit, but typically 60, those are your big boys, right? Your big boys
Yeah.
are in the 60s.
Yeah. Yeah, they never talk
So,
about the numbers 50 through 70 because it's just a bunch of big boys that sweat and lean on each other for 3 hours on an afternoon.
yeah. So, man, the Wild West Shootout just wrapped up, and man, what a week it was, dude. We briefly talked about it last week on the pod, and I think we only had 1 or 2 nights of racing at that time. Of course, they had 4 more nights of action to go, 6 total nights. The weather was beautiful, man, all week. And dude, I'm gonna be honest, and I said this last week, and I'm gonna say it again now. Central Arizona Raceway, though I had zero expectations because I didn't really know what to expect, and those are the best. I think that's the best way to go into an event is not have any expectations, so you're not anticipating anything, so you can't get let down on good or bad. I was impressed. Central Arizona Raceway raced extremely well, and to be honest with you, it got progressively better every single race. I think the best that it was though was the third to last event. I'm trying to remember what night that was, but it wasn't the second to last race. It was the third to last race. That was a phenomenal racetrack, man. Just an absolutely phenomenal racetrack. And believe that was the one. Was that the one Ethan won? I think that was the one Dotson
I
won,
think it's one
maybe.
Dotson. Yeah.
Just ripping around the top and dude, 5 nights, 5 different super late model winners. I'm sorry, 5 nights. Yeah, 5 different winners. The only multi-time winner was Huddy in the Rumley 6 car. But dude, RTJ won it on opening night. Huddy gets 2 of them. Ethan Dotson, Garrett Alberson, Bobby Pierce. What was your overall take from your super late model portion of the event, and and how the racetrack raced?
Yeah, like you said, you kind of go in and you're leaving Vado. We've talked about this the last 2 weeks. Like you're leaving one of the premier racetracks, the race of the year, 2 years in a row, and you just go in there and you're like, man, can it be as good as Vado was? Like that's you got high expectations, you got a high bar that's been set. And I think it exceeded it, man. First year out there, the track crew got out there and did a phenomenal job. Like you said, they did do a good bit of track prep in between nights when you got that many cars and you start early with the sun on it. You got to, and it really, really did race good. I mean, when you got guys that are making charges into the top 3 that are doing plus 11, plus 13, plus 14 into the top 5, I mean, you can't really complain a whole lot. You had comers and goers, movers and shakers. The fact that a lot of nights started out, you had to go down there and run around the bottom because they go out there and farm it and you rip around the bottom a little bit, or then you got to go run the cushion. And then really wherever your car was best fit, you could go make speed. And the front stretch being kind of like curved the way it was, kind of more of a D shape, it made it really interesting, because you could just bomb that thing off into 3 and 4 and just slide across the track and catch marbles. However, you really, I mean, whatever you needed to do whatever you needed to do where your car was comfortable, you could do so. And, it's super late models. You love to see them rip around the lip, and they were getting it on 90% of the time. You could go up there and make some speed, and it raced really, really well. Just coming from the Wild West Shootout, super late model wise, a really good field. You had your eclectic mix of cars, as the word that always gets thrown around there, and the fact that you had 5 different winners was the Rumley 6, probably the fastest car out there all week long. Yes, but still, you come away with a good group of winners when you throw in the names RTJ, Huddy, Dotson, Albertson, and Pierce. can't be too mad about it. It could have been a stinker in the past where one dude wins 4 or 5 nights out there, or 3 and 3, how it's been in the past. So really good group of mix of cars. It raced really, really well. And not only did it race well in the late models, it also raced really well in all the other divisions. And it was a shout out to Wild West Shootout crew, Central Arizona Raceway. The facility looks awesome. Covered grandstands part of it. Place was packed out. Like it's a vibe out there, and you could tell that a lot of guys were, I'm not necessarily saying happy that it's so much farther out west, but the weather was a whole lot nicer because I have been at Vado whenever the snow would be coming down as soon as we finished the feature race. So definitely better weather. Racetrack race fine. Super late models were there. You can't complain a whole lot.
You know what I noticed throughout the week, and of course, Jeremy Payne. We'll get into the mods here in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and mention Jeremy to kind of compare the way him and the 6 of Hudson O'Neal could get their race cars to turn. I know they're 2 different classes, but between the mod and the late model, guys that could seemingly get their cars to turn and to stick down there into that moisture on the very bottom of the racetrack. You could see guys trying to run the bottom, but they couldn't get their car down there and to pitch it and to get it stuck and turned to get back down the straightaway with a lot of speed. But that's what Jeremy Payne was able to do. And Hudson O'Neal in the 6 car, man, was just glued to the bottom all weekend long. I don't think Billy Moyer picked anybody but Hudson all week when they asked him, like, what is your pick tonight, Mr. Smooth? He said, well, that 6 car, I've been watching him all week. Like, he's tough. Like, Mr. Smooth knew what was up this week, but I feel like Hudson was the class of the field this week. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Obviously, he won the 2 races. That goes to show it. Bobby Pierce was up front a lot this week, but ended up only getting 1 win, but it was the one that mattered the most, right? I do kind of want to talk a little bit more about that race too. That one ends up paying him $51,500 to win, and that was a Donnybrook special, as I'd like to say. That one was a 50-lap barn burner that came down to the final whistle. Pierce ended up separating a little bit towards the end, so I won't say quite to the final whistle. But I mean, you had Davenport after the skirmish earlier in the night with him and Turbo. Davenport has to start all the way to tail. 24th charges the second, and that was impressive. Like, there's just so much to unpack here because I kind of want to talk about the JD Turbo thing, and I kind of want to talk about Davenport just storming his way to the front. So let's just kind of hit it. It's kind of comical, right? Like, the whole thing is because the Turbo situation with JD, it happens in the heat race, and that's that. I don't really want to get into the whole nuts and bolts about that. Like, he just said this, he said that, but it is kind of funny whenever they're interviewing Turbo and he said he told JD to iron his cape out and come give us a run for our money somewhere else down the road. Like, that was funny in the moment, but well, then JD shows up in the feature. He says, well, Turbo, why wait now? Like, how about now?
Yeah.
Like, why wait when we can just roll from 24th? And like, I love Turbo. So but I'm not going to say he embarrassed him, but I'm just saying, like, Turbo probably didn't think that he's going to have to deal with the 49 for the rest of the night because he probably wouldn't have made that comment, right? I don't think that he would have, but you could tell when that 49 car drove that son of a gun off into turns 1 and 2 and he saw that green 1 car in he saw him out front, he pulled the trigger. And dude, I'm telling you, he threw that slider and slid it. It was just like, how do you like me now? And I was like, oh, shit. And they just continue on. And here's the thing about Turbo. He's a good sport. Like, he knows what he says. He knows the things he says. He knows things are going to rough people up. That's what makes him so great at his job and what he does overall. Like, he's a really good race car driver too, but Davenport was out to prove something. And let me tell you, man, he proved a little something. 24th a second. Bobby Pierce wins the race. And then earlier in the race, Hudson and Pierce get together. Like I said, man, a lot to unpack here. My ADD's getting the best of me right now, trying to figure out which we want to get to. But I'm telling you, dude, it is a lot to unpack, man. But there was a lot going on in that feature, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sunday was as exciting as any of the nights. To finish a finale the way they did, it was quite the spectacle to have. I mean, for a whole heat race, we have a drone sitting there in the pits watching the JD and Turbo confrontation. Like, we went dual camera just to see the confrontation because the 49 was parked in the one pit stall there for a little while, and they had their few words. But it happens. Turbo, like he said in the post-race interview, he goes, I made a decision going into 3 and 4, and JD just made the wrong one. And Turbo's not going to shy away from it. Like, he knows he knows he did it, and it's just one of them deals. And then like you mentioned, JD's making his rally. And I don't think anybody, I mean, here's the deal. I don't think anybody expected JD to charge the way he did because he has started up front in a lot of features, but he never shown like that breakaway 49 speed like he would at least once or twice a weekend. You know, like you give the 49 a chance to race somewhere 6 nights in a row. At some point, he's going to have that breakaway speed. Well, Sunday probably was going to be his night that he had that breakaway speed. But when he come charging through the field, just like you said, he sees that one car in 1 and 2, and then when he come down to 3 and 4, he drove her off in there 4 car lengths deep. And Turbo, being the I guess in this turn he was the nice guy because he just lifted and said, "Go ahead, bud.
Yeah,
Like you ironed your cape,
he
fly,
knew.
baby, fly. Like take off." You know, like
He
he
probably
just let him
laughed.
go, and he
He
probably
probably
did. There ain't
chuckled a
no
little
telling,
bit.
but so the 40. I'm not saying the 49 was trying to get payback, but I think JD knew that the one car was going to lift for him if he drove her off in there pretty deep, or they were both going to end up in the turn 4 concrete. But you got that charge going through, but and then JD rallies all the way up to second, and then the Bobby Pierce and Hudson O'Neal debacle, man. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I guess the 32 wasn't going to go 6 races without winning. Like I guess he was not going to let that
That's
6
it.
car pass him because like I know mistakes are made. Lord knows I can't drive as good as any of them. But if you ask me, like that 32 just did not want to get passed by that 6 car again because he,
That
like he said, I think he said he knew he was going to squeeze them and he maybe didn't leave enough room. But like, man, they do this a lot. I think he knew how tight it was going to be, and it was a decision that
Yep.
he made. And at the end of the day, he's the one that collects $51,000 because of $500 lap money and the $25,000 to win, and then plus the $3,000 the heyday payday. How about that? Like a fan went away with $3,000 that night because
Yeah.
Bobby Pierce won. They did that wheel every night, but it was a lot to unpack, man. Like that Sunday finale, you had all the fireworks and drama that you needed, but at the end of the day, we're not going to shy away from that, but also we need to remember like it was a absolute barn burner of a race. And when Jonathan Davenport can put his cape in the wind and pass 21 cars, whether it's the top or the bottom, like it was a really good track. And it was even funny, like the 49 isn't one, he can do it just as good as any of them, but you don't see the 49 go up there and two tires in the cushion,
Right.
Bahan, and he was sawing on that thing. Like he's one, give him black, give him speed, give him middle. No, that 49 was on a mission, and probably just used the stuff up, man. And he got to second. They had a couple of restarts there late, and the 32 pulled away. You know, obviously, I think Hudson would have been the field of the class there if he doesn't have the tie-in with Bobby, but still a heck of a race. The 32 wins it. He takes home over 50K there just Sunday night, and the 49 rallies 21 positions to finish second. And then Huddy, even with all the damage with the left front bumper literally dragging the ground, you could see the sparks that it was sending on the track, like it was dragging the ground, and he still come away third. That just tells you how fast that car really was with all that damage. And I know it didn't handle worth a darn with the bumper dragging like that. So just a really good way to end the weekend.
Really good spicy post race and, post game interviews and stuff like that, made it pretty interesting too, right? Bobby Pierce said something that I liked. I really liked it a lot. He said, because he knows that he's about to get chastised on the internet, probably by social media.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recalled him, but he said he wasn't like calling anybody out, but he said something along the lines when he was asked what happened between you and Huddy. Heck, he said, I'd like to see any of y'all come and do it. Didn't he say something along those lines? He said something like he was inviting anybody, y'all come and try it and see how you do. Which is a great point because we say that a lot on this podcast. It's like we're not the ones driving the race car, so it's hard for us to really give you a full take on what happened and what transpired here. We can give you our best take on it, but we weren't driving the race
Yeah.
car, so it's just an educated guess. We're doing the best that we can, right? Until you actually talk to the race car drivers, like we're just speculating here, and we try not to get too much into the speculation game, but that's kind of what it's become. And JD had another comment. JD said in the interview about the Tyler Erb situation, he said, "I guess I'm going to have to start racing people the way they race me." But dude, we've been around the game for so long. That's the old rule of thumb, right? In dirt track or in any
Yeah.
kind of racing, that you race how you race how you want to be raced and vice versa. And to hear JD say that is not alarming, and it's not like unexpected because we know how Turbo races. Turbo's really aggressive, and some people might say he's over aggressive. Some people will say that he's dialed some of that aggression back, and that's why he's emerged to be one of the top 15 late model drivers in the country, and he's consistent as he is now with Best Motorsports. But this JD thing, like, is this what this has become? Because I feel like what we've seen, Cortland, I feel like we've seen an uptick in the aggression. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but I feel like there has been a large upscale in how hard these guys are racing every single lap. You heard Mr. Smooth Billy Moyer kind of allude
Yeah.
to it a little bit. Like, these guys aren't saving shit. Like, what do you mean? Like,
No.
because I think Ben Shelton asked, what is Davenport used up on his way to the front, versus maybe, Bobby's up front. He's like, Bobby ain't saving that. Like, these guys are going
No.
after it every single lap. In an 8 lap heat race, you have nothing to leave on the table. And to hear JD say that, though, I'm gonna have to race him how they race me. I think JD knows that he can, if he needs to, he can throw that aggression level up another level if he needs to. But I think he's elected to not race that because he doesn't want to tear up his equipment. And I'm not saying that Turbo does, right? I don't think Turbo goes out there with the approach that, like, I'm going balls to the walls, and hey, if it messes your car up or mine, then so be it, because we're just racing hard out here. I think most of these guys have a pretty good level head about how they're going to approach the race that they're going to get in. But it is, I feel like the aggression level has certainly risen, and I think it's only going to continue to rise.
It's risen out the wazoo, and for the simple fact of because dirt late model races are starting to pay so much in this, and to race dirt late models cost so much. And I'm not saying drivers are on the hot seat, but I mean those guys are getting pressure from above, like I mean that's not,
Yeah.
I'm like, we're not going to shy from it. Those car owners, they're spending a lot of money for those cars to be out on the road, and they want to run good. So when Turbo goes in there and lays a door to the 49, like Lance Landers, you saw him in the video go over there and was like trying to confront Tyler Erb as well. Like, it's not just a driver thing. Like, this is a whole crew. You also got to talk about crew guys that spend 250 plus nights a year gone away. A lot of them gone from their family. They don't live around the team. They're gone as well. So as a crew guy, you're mad about it as well. Like, it's just the stakes have just been amped up that much more. And also, before I barrel down, I had this in the old dome up here. Their Turbo and 49 had a run in at Charlotte a couple years ago, and I think it was JD's $2 million year. I know some people may not remember. There is video somewhere out there, but the two kind of had a little confrontation before, so they've been known to ruffle each other's feathers a little bit in the past. And I mean, it's dirt late model racing, like you alluded to. It's just risen and risen and risen, and as we've seen it, if you don't jump that aggression level up, then you're just going to get left behind. I mean, like, look at Bobby, look at RTJ, look at Huddy. You're telling me that those three guys, if an opportunity's not there, that they don't take it? I mean, if they have a chance to slide somebody, they're going to do it. Same way with Turbo, like so many guys, Garrett Albertson, Ethan Dotson, like those, you just race. I think Billy said they asked them if they're saving. They go, yeah, they might run about 10 laps, 80%, but after that, they're wide open, ready to rip. Like it's full bore. Like they're not running 75 or 60 or 50%. No, it's 80% plus every single lap you're out there. And it just, the money that you're racing for, like Bobby takes home $51,000. You're telling me that he's not sitting there watching every single lap go by? That's $500, $500, $500. That's just out of his pocket at this point. Like, you're telling me that's not going to raise the stakes for me to go in there and try to slide Hudson O'Neal and try to take the lead? Shoot, I mean, what you talking about? There's some people that's their weekly paycheck, and it's going by at 11 seconds a lap, or 11 to 18 seconds a lap around there. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, when you break it down like that, it really puts it into perspective of like just the money you're racing for, how much everything costs. I mean, I think you've had different people break it down, and it's like $150 to $200 a lap that it costs to like run a dirt late model probably. And I shot a little bit over, but I would say around that 150 mark. And I may be underselling it because the last time we broke it down, it was like 2 years ago. And I know everything's gone up way since then. So when you're watching that lap money go out there and you see $25,000 at the end of the night in the victory circle, you're just going to do everything you can to go out there and run. And then on top of that, you got your car owners that want you to run well. You got your crew guys that are just as invested in this as anybody else. And it just keeps on raising the stakes. You got so many guys that are out there that are competing for a high amount of money and at a very high level, and there's going to be run-ins and there's going to be altercations, and that's just where the sport's at now. You got to be wide open from the drop of the green, whether it's a 20-lap feature or a 50-lap feature. It is get it on, elbows up, and that's just the tide and the way things are going in dirt late model racing right now.
Yeah, it's a good point. I do recall, but I failed to mention that I forgot that they were running for a $500, lap money, on top. That's why Bobby ran away there with 5150, to win. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
$500, and that obviously raises the aggression level. What I was talking
Yeah.
about there. So Yeah, I mean, that certainly does it, and hey, I mean, if that's what we get out of it, then hell, I hope a big sponsor comes on board and we start having lap leader money every race. Like, that I know the
Yeah.
racers won't mind it too much, you know, like, that'd be a pretty good gig for
No.
them, you know? So on the Wild West Shootout, man, wrapping it up here, your biggest surprise for the super late models and biggest disappointment or what?
Man, the biggest surprise at a dirt late model racing, and it may not be a surprise to many, but Ethan Dotson picking up the win in the super late models, just for the simple fact of his last win was April of 2025 at Farmer City. And then to add to that surprise, he had old Cody Mallory. And if the name sounds familiar, a longtime crew member of the Zero of Scott Bloomquist, yes, sir. The Zero, longtime crew chief there, jumped around with Jimmy there for a year, Jimmy Owens, and then just bounced around back and forth. A couple people been on the Coon Dog Academy program, but he was out there at Arizona with Ethan Dotson, so that was my surprise. Really, does it sound like a surprise, Ethan Dotson winning a super late model race? Maybe, maybe not, but for the fact he hasn't won since April of last year, and go out to Arizona and pick up the win over a field like that was pretty interesting. And then my
Cody
biggest
Mallory's a
disappointment.
good crew chief.
Oh, Cody Mallory can find speed. Like there's guys
Yeah.
in the dirt late model
He's
world. There's
proven
crew
it
chiefs.
over and over.
Yeah, like I'm 99% sure. I probably should have researched this when I know when I was going to maybe say this, but like he was with Owens when he won his last championship as well that year, and
2020.
yeah, he was with Owens when Owens won his last championship. Cody Mallory, there's a lot of crew chiefs out there in the dirt late model world, and I use that lightly because Lord knows I couldn't be a crew chief, but there's some crew chiefs that are just general mechanics, or I say general mechanics, just very good dirt late model mechanics, and there's some guys that are crew chiefs that go in there and find speed, and Mallory is one of those dudes that go in there and he finds speed. He may do some off the wall stuff from Scott back in the day and finds a way to make speed, but that old Coon Dog Academy there, Cody Mallory can find some speed in a dirt late model if you give him some time to wrench on it.
Yeah, I
And
didn't mean
then
to interrupt you there.
no,
Yeah,
and
I
then
kind of
the
interrupted and just throwing that in about Mallory.
yeah, no, and then
Yeah.
the disappointment. I'm gonna say two of them, and two of them would be the fact that B Shep just had a very terrible week. I know they had motor
Wasn't good.
troubles, just stuff didn't go his way, but he's gonna bounce back. That was just my disappointment. I figured he was gonna go out there, and he normally runs very well going out west of the Wild West Shootout. And then another one, is kind of might be a sleeper, but Jake O'Neill, I really had high hopes for him. He did not have a single top 10 all weekend long or all week long. And that's a guy, he qualified really well. He raced his way through the heat race each night. And it was just, I was waiting for that moment for him to bust through and get that top 10. And I maybe it was a disappointment to me because I had such high hopes for him. Jacob, I mean, he is a dude. You put him behind the wheel of an LG2 modified, and the dude is an assassin. I mean, he is
Yeah, he
a
is.
dog. And he'd go out there and show speed every night and just never could finish it. And I know they had issues, and there's a lot of luck that goes into this deal. And he even had Jimmy Owens out there wrenching on the thing for him. So the car was good, just didn't have no luck. And I was kind of upset, or I say upset, disappointed. I kind of felt bad for my boy there. So that would be my two disappointments. That just right off the top would be the B Shep just had a terrible week, and then Jake
Yeah, he did.
O'Neill didn't have any top tens unless I wrote that down wrong. But that would be my two. That would be my
Yeah,
surprise and
two
my two disappointments. What you got there, friend? You got a surprise or a
two
disappointment from the Wild West
yeah,
Shootout?
I agree with the Jake O'Neill, but, he's just back getting his feet wet.
He is.
I think he'll continue to find some speed. He just got back into it, and, I know he'll be back in the mod too at some point this year. Remember, he almost won that Mod War 100 down here at Waco, that heartbreak
Yeah.
there, with, Chisholm getting him, but, that's the last time we've seen him down here in Texas, but, hopefully we'll see him down here maybe in a late model this year. I would imagine that he'll do some traveling, probably hit some regional stuff. So, I'd love to see Jake O'Neill, man. He's top tier racer, top tier human
He
being
is.
too. Love that guy. My biggest surprise this week, and this might be a shock to some people, my biggest surprise is Bobby Pierce only getting one win despite starting. I feel like he started on the front row every night. Like,
Yeah.
maybe he didn't, but I felt like he started in the top 4 each night and was only able to get a win on the final night of the 6 nights they raced. So I feel like that's a surprise due to the fact that Bobby typically goes to the Wild West Shootout and he's got his name in the hat to get that $250,000 bonus for winning 4 out of 5 or sweeping the entire event. Like, he's typically on the ball all week, and he was again this week, but he just lacked that little bit of speed to contend with Hudson O'Neill. Huddy just had a little bit more this week over the 32. So I'd say that was a surprise. My biggest disappointment, and again, this might just be personally, this is also compared to his past success at the Wild West Shootout. Though he did get a modified win and he would have had two. Granted, the muffler fell off, so he suffered a disqualification. But as far as the super late model goes, Cade Dillard has made his hay in his racing career in both the mod and the late model. The Wild West Shootout has done a ton for him in his racing career. I think that's where a lot of people first really got familiar with Cade Dillard, was racing at the Wild West Shootout and winning a lot of races over there in the mod, and then coming up through the ranks and winning in the late model. Of course, he won that World of Outlaws race at Vado, that huge one, that 75 lap race. He beat the Rocket One over there. I think that one was
Yeah.
35,000 a win. I can't recall. But nonetheless, Cade Dillard, I'd say, was a disappointment this week. He usually runs really well at the Wild West Shootout. I know Casa Grande's a new racetrack. He did end up with a top 5 to end the week. I just feel like him and his race team were probably hoping for more. But again, with that mod win, and maybe should have had another one, and with Jeremy Payne's 2 wins, I'm sure Cade would still rate this week a successful one, right? So I would say that he
Yeah.
might be a little disappointed that the late model, though, didn't go any better than it did. Hey, I got an honorable mention for the X mods. Another disappointment for my boy Rob Mosley. Rob, I know you listen to this podcast, so I'm not calling you out, but always proud of you. But man, you jumped up front, the old M17 car on Mr. Rob was digging on the opening night. I said, "Oh shit, here we go. We're about to this thing's about to go 2025 Wild West Shootout style." And that's what it looked like. He jumped out front on the first night. I think he went 8th to 2nd in his heat, started up front in the feature, jumped out front, led around the first 7 or 8 laps, and then a caution comes out and he faded to 3rd. And he finished 3rd on the first night. And man, I just don't think the car was quite where he wanted it all week. And he was also chasing the racetrack. He was chasing chasing track conditions and also the pill draw. Some weeks when you start near the back and the track's real hammered down and hooked
Yeah.
up, when you're the first class that comes out on the night, passing's at a premium. And I think a lot of that had to do with Rob's performance this week. So I can't quite say it was like a disappointment. Maybe that's not the right word for it. But I'd say he left a little bit to be desired considering his dominant 2025 Wild West Shootout performance. But Rob Mosley for the X mods there. That's what I got.
I will say, it might have been a disappointment, but my boy Rob Mosley, he was my stalwart on the old dirt draft. Your boy over here
Did you win it?
Won the Wild West Shootout X Mod series. Rob Mosley, like 2 or 3 nights, I picked my boy Rob. Yes,
Mhm.
sir. The old dirt
Yeah.
draft demon over here, as I like to call myself, or my buddies make fun of me because I'm always playing
You,
it. And what's up?
you were leading the super late models heading into the final night, correct? Did you
I
win
was
that one
leading
too?
I was leading going into Thursday night and or Friday night, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday this past week. I was leading going into Friday night. I was the only guy out of like 1,700 people that played dirt draft that finished top 10 in 2 of the series. So I finished ninth in the late models. Oh yeah, there you go. I like a little round of applause there. Not, I'm a nerd. I know dirt draft. It's silly, but I enjoy playing it, and obviously 1,700 other people do. So I was I was the only guy that finished top 10 and within all 3 of the series. I think I finished like 28th in the modifieds. I didn't have a good modified week. We won't talk about that performance, but yeah, Rob, you may have been a disappointment to Zach, but old Cortland Smith appreciates you because I had you in the old dirt draft several nights and you pulled through. I didn't need you to win. I just need you to run up front, bud. And he was able to do that.
You know
And then
what?
what you got?
I'm gonna say I think I even have a more of a disappointment than Rob, and I think that he would be like, you know what? Thank you for that because Josh Kane, I expected to have a really, really good run this
Yeah.
week, and my boy didn't raise a lot of his last name like I expected him to. So I would add Josh Kane to that list.
Hey, I didn't pick
They're gonna,
Josh
they're
Kane
gonna fight me
not a
next time
single
I see him.
time. I didn't pick Josh Kane not a once. So I don't know why he
And
just I don't know
typically
what the
you
deal
would,
was. Oh yeah,
yeah.
like you really would, and he kind of struggled, but and then I guess we can start transitioning this to the old let's get the modified Zach. All right, and
Yeah.
then with the modifieds, man, like X mods put on good races. You had Jake Smith win 2 of them. Blake Adams won the first 2 nights. Jake Smith wins 2. Lucas Rodine wins 1. And then Ken Schrader also picked up a win. Shout out to the X Mod guys. They put on a phenomenal show. But dude, these modified fields were stout and the absolute clinics that some of these races were. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. My breakout star, and it ain't no surprise, he ran really good last year. Dude, if Reese Solander is a dude. He is
He is that dude.
he is a dude behind the wheel of that modified and absolutely, I mean, run really 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 well all week long, and I absolutely enjoyed watching him. That is a it's funny, you talk about late model racing, we seem like we're wide open, get it on from the get go. And man, same deal in modifieds. I mean, it's elbows up. You get everything you got out of a car. And Reese Solander, he, whether it was around the bottom or up on the top, he left it all out on the table and was just that'd be my standout performance. I may be hitting you blindside here with you standout performance. I might have stole yours, but dude, Reese Solander just not no surprise to anybody that keeps up with the modified world, but he really showed up this week and showed that he's gonna be here in the modified world this year, and he's gonna be one of them dudes that you always got to keep your eye on for a win.
100% agree with that, man. We really, really loved watching Reese Solander push the progression in his young racing career. Uh, Man, he's gonna win. He's gonna win some races this year. I think that he'll win. Let's do an over under. Reese
All
Solander
right.
4.5 USMTS modified wins this season. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna say he wins 4. I'm gonna say he wins 4 this season. How many do you have for him?
Over.
Okay.
Man, I almost want to push 6. Almost want to push
Okay.
6. I know there's not a lot of USMTS races though, so give me 5, and we're at the solid over under. But man, dude, just the speed, dude. Every single night he had speed, man. Like it just
Yeah.
a lot of other guys had speed too. You throw out a guy like Dustin Sorensen who run fourth, second, sixth,
Yeah.
and then had issues on Sunday. But like Sorensen's a late model guy. He's not going to run a lot of modified races. There was a lot of guys that had a lot of speed each night, but there's the speed he's shown in any condition. And I think he gets 5 USMTS wins this year. Reese Solander, whether you listen to this, whether you know me or not, this guy's on your side. And when you win 5, I'll get to brag to Zach that I picked you. I picked the over.
How cool was it to see Talon Willis and Jeremy Payne, both CDR race cars, starting on the front row? How cool is that? Comes full circle for Talon. I saw Jeremy Payne's wife Madison has posted a couple really cool Facebook posts, kind of detailing the behind, the in and outs and kind of the behind the scenes about Jeremy getting back behind the wheel. He's a firefighter, of course, and man, I've got a lot of memories that include Jeremy Payne in my announcing career. Man, I've got a lot
Yeah.
of them, and man, it was just so great to see him back behind the wheel. We talked about this last week on the pod, and dude, from that point, he goes and wins. He was the only
Yeah.
repeat modified winner all week, and he didn't sit in a race car for 10 years. Like I think he had a one-off race here and there. Like I think he'd only raced 4 times total in 10 years, but nothing like official, and that was an
Yeah.
official ass kick, and he dealt the competitors. But yeah, man, really, really impressive. I text Cade and I said, dude, that's pretty cool that you put him behind the wheel of that car. And I was like, it's got to be pretty cool for you too, because when you just think about it, where Cade Dillard was 10 years ago, and for him and his career to come full circle, to be able to afford to be able to put a driver like Jeremy Payne back in the car. Remember, he put Stormy in a car. It's just some pretty cool stuff going on over there at CDR. And I couldn't be any more proud of Talon Willis. I think he left a little bit to be desired in that feature, but y'all got to remember this young man. I think if you include the starts that he had, of course, he didn't get to make all of them at Central Arizona because he ended up getting the flu and he had to sit out a night. But if you include the nights that he made at Central Arizona, Talent still has less than 10 career modified starts in his career. Like, and he's
Yeah.
out there racing with the best in the business. And man, there's only one direction, and that's the up. That's for him to go up. And like we told him when he was on the pod, no pressure. Just go out there and run
Yeah.
your race. He's logging a lot of laps and he's learning a lot of valuable lessons while he's out there racing with guys like Jeremy Payne and like we said, that modified field was just stellar this weekend. So yeah, hey, the mod winners, like you said, was Rodney Sanders. How about this? All your winners were USMTS or former USMTS regulars, and all former USMTS winners except for Reese Solander. Wait, he did win one at the end of last year. So
I
there you
about to
have
say,
it.
yeah. I do want to say, by all means, shout out to Talon starting on the front row, like you said, with Jeremy Payne. Just kind of goes full circle. You have, Jeremy Payne was that dude in modifieds back in the gap, and for people that maybe just caught on to racing here in the last 10 years, if you wanted to know of a certified wheeler, and we say this a lot about a lot of guys because there are a lot of very talented race car drivers out there in the country, but Jeremy Payne is one of them guys that he showed up anytime, anywhere in that modified. And I remember the blue with the neon yellow, black 186 Allgaier on the quarter panel, like
Randy
showing up to
Davidson
Doug
Trophy.
Murphy. Yeah, showing up at the Doug Murphy Memorial. Didn't he win the Sunday race up there? I know
Yeah.
you probably called it. Yeah,
The
won the
one Jeff
Sunday
Larry
race.
finished second in.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just that modified. I just this is a Kiss's little kid Cortland here. You know, I was 14 years old. I mean, I was probably younger. I don't know what year that Dougie was, but you know, just when you know when you showed up and you saw the Jeremy Payne in the pit area, you were seeing one of the best in the business, and just the way he just stepped away from racing and firefighter and, you know, doing what's best for him and his family. By all means, a shout out to him for not necessarily giving up his dream, but doing what's best for him and his family, I'm sure is what the decision came down to. But I also want to give a shout out. Kel Murphy made 5 of the 6 features out there at Central Arizona
Yes.
Speedway. And the Murphy
Thank
family,
you.
long time running down here in the Louisiana. Dougie was an absolute
Thank you.
wheeler. I mean,
Love them.
that is a family racing affair. And I would also want to give them a shout out too, just because whether his best finish was
He
6th.
deserves it.
Yeah, his best finish was 6, and really, I mean, to make the show 5 nights out there for him, I mean, I guarantee Talon has less than 10 modified starts, and Kale probably isn't breaking 30 yet. You know, he's probably around that 20 mark, and I may be shooting way
Yeah.
over on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
like he doesn't have very many modified starts. I mean, I'm saying probably 10. He's around that 10 number. So for Kale to go out there and do what he did, make 5 of the 6 nights, and then Talon to go out there and sit on the front row, just know that modified racing with the talent we have around the Arklatex, we're going to be A-OK, folks. If we can keep some modified programs running around here, we'll have some talent to watch here the next couple years.
I got a couple of more things here before we wrap this thing up tonight.
Yeah,
I got
go ahead.
a what's more likely and a who has or we have a game to play. Who gets more wins in 2026? And I got a couple of different drivers we're going to compare a versus with. But I also want to get to the Chili Bowl real quick. Of course, while the Wild West
Yep.
Shootout is going on all week, you have the Chili Bowl going on every day. I did my best to multitask and watch them both while NFL football's on. What you got?
Oh, just before we leave the Wild West Shootout, Kurt Lund, stock cars, IMCA stock cars,
Oh,
Kurt Lund. And if the name sounds familiar, he was the guy that made the soup
on the
run
pole.
at the original
Yeah.
100,000 win.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
100,000 win stock car race, Kurt Lund comes down there earlier. Of course, they're all racing there this week, but Kurt Lund picked up the stock car win on Sunday night. Thought it was pretty cool that the IMCA old stockers got a chance to roll out there and race as well. And Kurt Lund picked up the dub there.
Sources said he was still waiting on his check for that run of that soup run he had.
Woo!
I just kidding. I just kidding. I just kidding. I just
Who
kidding.
said that? Huh?
Look at
Who said
look at
that?
me. I did. Look at me stepping out of the starting shit for no reason. So the
You
Chili Bowl, man,
silly
was taking
goose.
place all week. Yeah, and I'm not trying to throw shade at nobody. I'm just being silly. So, the Chili Bowl going on every week. I did my best to multitask and watch it all, you know, with
Yeah.
NFL, call everything else that's going on. And because I'll be honest, man, I like big cars. Like I do like the Chili Bowl. I do. I love it. I love watching it. I like midgets. I think they're really badass. I enjoy the racing. But man, and I don't know. Don't at me, people. I enjoy super late models more. Don't at me, people. I just do. I love super late model racing a little bit more than I like midget racing, but I do love the Chili Bowl and I love the midget. I love all racing. If it's competitive, I enjoy it. I don't care what it has. If it's got 4 tires and a steering wheel, I'm on board with it. Um, but the Chili Bowl started Monday. Of course, Larson wins one of them prelims, and I probably shouldn't have said that because I can't tell you who won Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday either. So
Well, Blake
I just
Hahn
know
won Tuesday while we had
yeah,
Tim
yeah,
Crowley
yeah,
on.
I can. That was an incredible race. Dude, Blake Hahn
Yeah.
winning, of course, his grandpa created this event, or his dad, the Hahn family created that event. To see Blake Hahn and Victor Lane at the Chili Bowl was really, really cool. He started third. All 4 of the Swindell Speed Lab midgets made the main event, including 14-year-old Jet Barnes out of
Yeah.
California. I was super impressed with him. I think he came home 7th in the A main on Saturday night. First ever Chili Bowl start, and Jet Barnes not only locks in from a preliminary in the qualifier, I think on the Wednesday night, but he
Yeah.
finishes in the top 10. It doesn't ever fall out of the top 10, and he's racing up there with the best in the business. Like, one thing about the Chili Bowl is the elite of the elites are there. Hell, even Ricky Thornton Jr., after he won the late model race last Sunday, hauled tail
Yeah.
back to Tulsa to race there all weekend long. Like, it is such a cool event that all the different disciplines and all the different drivers from the backgrounds they come from that get into these kind of cars. It's just really, really neat, man. And I was most impressed. I know on Saturday night, Emerson Axum won his first ever Chili Bowl, and that was really exciting to see. I'm a huge Emerson Axum fan. I think that kid's got a super bright future. But to me, the storyline was 14-year-old Jet Barnes. Just absolutely incredible drive for that young man. He's got a bright future.
Yeah, 14 years old, rookie of the Chili Bowl, dude. Like, how many 14-year-olds? Like they were talking about like the pressure he must feel, and like we were sitting there
He
watching it, and
feels
I'm
it.
like, and I told, I'm sitting there, I'm like,
Doesn't
dude,
have a
he
clue.
doesn't even know what he's doing. Like, not that he
He
doesn't know
doesn't
what he's
have a
doing. He
clue.
knows how to drive a race car by all means, but like he doesn't understand the magnitude of what he just done until 4 years from now or 3 or 4 years from now. Like he absolutely went out there and just, I mean, it was crazy. Shotguns of victory fuel and driver intros.
Yeah, no,
He's just got that
awesome.
little swagger about him. Like obviously the
He's a
Swindell
cool
family's kind
kid.
of took, yeah, like kind of took him under, and his interviews
Yeah,
are funny, like a 14-year-old would be. I think he was
yeah.
running ninth, and he got into the wall pretty hard, Zach. But he was running a competitive ninth, like he wasn't going back. And I
Okay,
don't know if he
sorry.
came back out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he was running ninth,
that's right.
like you said. And he got into the
That was
wall
a
there. But
beautiful
and I
car.
think, oh yeah, super clean looking ride. But absolutely phenomenal show. Really cool kid. That's one that you're gonna see that's gonna have an Emerson Axum progression. I'm sure he's under the Swindell arm. If you're in a Swindell Speed Lab midget, you're in good hands because Emerson Axum just won it one. You know what I mean? Like it. Oh yeah, representing on Chili Bowl night, huh?
On
And
Speed Lab, yeah.
it just a really the tips and turns of the race when you go back, if you just look at the My Race Pass report, it's not going to seem too interesting, but Larson leads early, gets into it with a lap car. I think it was CJ Leary that was coming up slow, and like the caution's out and Larson flips, just teeter totters over there
Yeah,
and gives Emerson Axum, hands the lead. Just he was battling with him. Axum had taken the lead by that point, I believe. And then Justin Grant comes rallying through the field,
oh,
storming, and it's like, dude, that's going to be Justin Grant. Like he looked like the one that could go down there, run down and pass Emerson, and he got to him. A caution comes out, has a terrible restart, and kind of hits the cushion a little early, gets tight, and then they get to race, and Seavey gets by him, and then you come into 2 to go, and Axum got in the wall. Seavey gets into Axum. They both go into 3 and 4 and try to run the bottom. Grant goes to rip the top. Like, I'm explaining all this. People, go back and watch the highlights because I'm probably doing a terrible
yeah.
job of explaining it.
No, you're
But
doing good, but it was exciting.
Axum and Seavey try to rip the bottom. They both slide up, hit the berm, slide out there, and Seavey makes contact with Grant and flips him over, coming to essentially what would either be 2 to go or the white flag. And then you just had the restarts there, and Axum just had to hit his points and do that. And then all of a sudden, 2 to go, Kevin Thomas Jr. plus 16 in the feature, sneaking around the bottom and drives right up alongside Emerson Axum down the back, or down the front stretch, going to take the white flag, and then a 1 and 2. And really, like I said, you go look at the scores card. If you watch live timing on My Race Pass, you're probably going to think it might be a snoozer. But go back and watch the highlights, folks, because the Chili Bowl did not disappoint. Again, kind of like you said, Zach, by all means, we're kind of more fender guys around here, but I'll be the first one to tell you, you give me the 20 best midget guys, and then most of the time it's slid or be slid in there. The late
They
models kind
get
of
it
took
on.
that over this week. There was a little bit more contact and all in the late model world, a little bit more drama, but midget racing, dude, that is probably one of the most purest forms of racing. When I say purist, it's just, man, it's an all-out war
It's
out there,
fun.
and the way they can hustle those cars around there. I know they're smaller, they got all this motor. If you ever been to the Chili Bowl, it sounds absolutely like it's just a sound that you've never heard before when you walk in that building and they fire off and they gas up. It's a really cool event. You at least got to go see it once, I should say. And but the feature, dude, it was absolutely phenomenal. Really, it was a really, really good race. Shout out to Emerson Axum for picking up his first Chili Bowl. That was really, really cool. And I actually got something here. I got a little beef with some of these people. Emerson Axum wins this race. Okay, I'm gonna go down a little rabbit hole here, and just bear
Please,
with me. Emerson Axum
please.
wins this race, and I'm all about media and getting the picture, and it's all about the moment. But let the kid celebrate with his family. Like, there's so many people around. Like I'm not saying, I wish one day I can win the Chili Bowl, and I'll tell all of them crew guys, I'll be elbowing people out the way to find somebody I know and go give somebody a hug. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had people all around. Like, he couldn't, I don't know. Maybe they like it,
Couldn't
maybe they
breathe.
don't. But to me, like, it ruined the moment because he's just walking around and people are trying to shove stuff into, like, cameras everywhere. And I know it's part of it. The Chili Bowl is probably hands down the biggest dirt race, one of the biggest dirt races of the year, especially in the open wheel world. But Emerson Axum wins, and like the dude's just bombarded with people and he can't even move around. And like they're stopping and trying to shove a microphone on his fire suit. Like, let the dude, like, we're ruining the moment, you know, and that's me being picky. I told you I was going to go on a rant, Zach. You're
I
not
have
supposed to let me
always
do this, but
that's
I'm
one
just,
thing that I want to interject on that. That's one thing like I've always tried to do in my announce career, and I granted we're not on as a larger scale as we are at the Chili Bowl.
yeah,
Well, the one thing, like, as far as my position, I've always tried to meet the driver where they are. Like, I tried to be the guy to be there to document the moment. I never want to be I never want to dictate the moment, if that makes sense.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I want the moment to unravel on itself, and hopefully that there's a camera down there to gather it all in. Kinda like when Hennigan climbs out of the car and wins 30 grand, the
yeah,
cameras are rolling, but nobody's down there to impede him, like, there doesn't
yeah,
need to be anybody impeding anybody's emotion. Like that, I can't tell you how many times I've watched a NASCAR broadcast over the years, and because the NBC camera or the Fox camera, they don't have it set up just right position. They're standing in front of the hood, right, and they've got it viewed in so you can see the driver's face, and you can see he's ready to get out of the car, but there's a guy standing next to him going,
yeah,
"Hold on, not yet, not yet, not yet." Not yet. We got to wait till everything on the outside here is absolutely perfect for you to climb out of this car so we can get the most beautiful and the most perfect pictures for you. We just want to
yeah,
ruin your moment just a little bit and make it about us and not about you, man, even though you earned this moment.
yeah.
It's about the
You
cameras,
said it
you know.
perfect.
I agree with you 100%. I 1,000%. See, I just went off on a tangent about it. But yeah, let these people like the job of you as a broadcaster and the job of the broadcast team is to not dictate the moment. It is to
Yeah.
capture the moment. Period. End of story. And that's all I got.
Yeah, you said it perfect. Don't dictate it, just capture it. And he did get his cage stand. It's not like they didn't let him get up there and do his
Yeah.
cage stand in turn 3 and 4, but it's just the minute he hopped out, like at that moment, I know he's probably looking for his dad. Like that was probably something, and I'm sure his dad was right there along. I may be missing it, but just it kind of ruined the moment. Before we run off on the Chili Bowl, I'm not gonna get down that tangent again. He got to do his cage stand. He won the Chili Bowl.
Fine.
He has got his accolade, whether he got to celebrate right off the minute or a camera got shoved in his face. Emerson Axum probably does not care, and that's a-okay. If I won the Chili Bowl, I probably wouldn't care neither, because honestly, I'd probably still be drinking to this point, and it's Tuesday night by this point. I'd
Hey,
probably still be
how about my
partying.
boy Hank Davis? How about my boy
Hank
Hank
Davis,
Davis coming home third? Huh?
hey,
Short track
dude.
nationals winner Hank Davis, who shunned me on my podcast. He was supposed to be a guest.
Oh
I'm just kidding, Hank.
Lord.
I'm just kidding, Hank. I'm just kidding. He probably won't hear this, but no, he might. He said he'd come on anytime in the future, so we might hold him to that. But no, that was really cool to see. That dude's a great race car driver, man. He really is.
Yeah.
Like, I think he proved that again this weekend.
Yeah, and short track nationals winner. You go out there and you win a very accredited sprint car race, and then you go to the Chili Bowl, and out of 400 cars, you run third. I mean, this is your
Yeah.
top 10 for anybody wondering. Emerson Axum, Kevin Thomas Jr. come home second, plus 16 in the feature. Hank Davis plus 5. Briggs Danner, another kind of a star in the making with Briggs Danner. Dason Pursley 6. Cannon McIntosh. I'm not your friend right now because you took out Shane Golobic, and Sugar Shane is my homie. I like
the nicest
Shane.
guy ever.
Yeah, and you go in there and you throw what does T-Mass call him? Cannonball Cannon, like the Cannon
Can't drive
McIntosh,
cannon.
can't
Yeah,
drive Cannon,
cannonball.
whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
Can't drive cannon
I'm mad
McIntosh.
at you because you took out my boy Shane Golobic. I mean, you're a racer, you're in that spot, not me. So just do you, I guess. Let go and let God do you. Seabell finished 8th, which is kind of surprising for the week that he had. I think every time he hit the track, he took the checkered flag first up to that point almost. So
But
for
if you
him to go.
recall, I'm sorry, but if you recall on that prelim earlier in the week, remember he kind of looked up into that win. He was running
He
third,
did.
remember, with a couple to go, and he ended up getting the win on the last lap. So, like, I felt like he didn't have that car. Remember, this is his first year with his own equipment and everything. He's always driven for Keith Coote. But yeah, I was I didn't feel like his car was quite where he needed to be, and I'm sure they'll improve on it. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're good. It was a perfect interjection there on Seabell. 9th was Spencer Baston, and 10th was Tanner Thorson, a former Chili Bowl winner himself. So, that's the field of cars you're racing against, and you throw the name Hank Davis in there, and I'm not saying his name isn't recognizable, but when you talk to probably midget people and all, and you tell you what's the one name, and when you throw these 10 guys on the wall, what's the one guy that's not going to finish in the top 5 in the Chili Bowl? They're probably going to say Hank Davis, and that's not a shot to Hank. That's just because, I mean, he's an absolute wheeler. We've seen it in person. It's one of those deals that he has a breakout performance at the Chili Bowl in a night that he'll remember, and that could just be his steps into becoming one of those Chili Bowl dudes that you got to look out for him every time he hits the track, because the dude's got the talent behind the wheel, no doubt about it. It just I think that's his first ever podium in the Chili Bowl. So good run for him.
Yeah, he's won a prelim at the Chili Bowl before. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he's won a prelim there. But yeah, that as far as putting everything together, he absolutely did. It's funny. So I was at my brother's the other day, and he does some work for Reem. And anyway, I'm not even a Christopher Bell fan, but I have this. He's my key
There
for
you
my house
go.
key. Anyway, Christopher Bell. Anyway, so I don't know why I had to show that to anybody, but anyway, because I'm not a big Christopher Bell or a big NASCAR guy, but here I am. I got a Christopher Bell keychain. What do you got something else, don't you?
Well, just are you about to get off the Chili Bowl?
Yeah, but you can go ahead
Okay.
with it.
I want to add Mac Leopard and Darren
Oh,
Nida.
yes.
The soup run that
Soup
these
run.
I mean, I would say kids, dude, they entertained my Saturday. I was up at Team 14
Yes, they
building some
did.
shocks for my buddy K1 up there. We was going there doing we was doing some dig fixing up there, and was getting him lined out. And I'm telling you, I had the soup run going, had it over there on the side. We were listening to it. But Mac Leopard and Darren Nida break the record and tie each other for most soup advances, and an absolute
9.
show. Two young guns that you will probably have to deal with a lot over the next couple years. Obviously, they proved that they can sit there and race, and broke the record, which is crazy because I felt bad for Nida because he had just broke the record, and Leopard had a chance to break the record that just got broken by Darren. So really, really cool to see that. I'm sure for anybody that was tuned in Saturday throughout the day that gave them plenty of entertainment. The Top Row Rowdies were definitely sold on it, and just the applause on a Saturday afternoon at, I don't know, whatever time it was, whether it's 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and these guys have the whole entire Tulsa Expo Center on their feet cheering them on. And that's a feeling,
Yeah,
whether it's in the A
that's awesome.
main or at 2 o'clock in an F main. I mean, to have the whole crowd attention, like everybody there when they pulled out
Yeah,
on the track. I think it was Nida. He ended up stopping in turn
air
2,
horns
and
and
yeah, and the entire turn 2 section is losing their ever living mind as if they even had one in the first place. Like they were just
yeah.
going bonkers for the kid, and really, really cool. So Mac Leopard, Darren Nida, before we rounded up the Chili Ball, I just want to give them two dudes a shout out for breaking the soup run record and tying each other, and going to be really to see. I'm sure they don't want to have to do it again, but if they have to do it again, they can obviously go out there and make their runs through the soup.
Dude, I was tuned into that too, man. That was really, really good stuff. I was locked in on that. That was we had a pretty long break there, but I think it was going into the F feature from the G, but that we were just waiting on them to keep building them runs, and eventually it all came to an end. But I mean, one of them only ended up one Nida. His run ended only one spot short. He would have kept
Yeah,
going to the next one. He only ended one spot. So yeah, that was very entertaining to watch. It was really cool to see. And yeah, you just never know who's going to make a name for themselves. By the way, um, how about Louisiana? Stand tall, make us proud. Shelby Hinton out of Dubberly, man, he is
yep.
continuing to make a name for himself in the midget world, and and really open wheel. I interviewed
Open
that
wheel.
young man on the front straightaway at Arclatech Speedway in his first ever mini sprint win, and I'm telling you, he was this tall. Like I
Yeah.
would love to go back and find a picture of that night. And, he raced limited modifieds around here for several years as well. But
Hmm.
and I'm just so proud of Shelby Hinton and watching his progression because we talk about it a lot. To make it from around here in the South, I mean, much less in a late model or anything else, but to make it out here as being a sprint car or open wheel racer, the level of
Yeah.
difficulty is just that much harder. So props to Shelby Hinton, man, for making waves in open wheel racing. It's been fun watching him.
I love when they
I had
do
a
the
couple.
representation. Oh, I was just gonna say when they do the
Oh, you're good.
representing the states, then they walk out with the state flags. My
Yes.
man's like at the Tulsa shootout, he was like the only one. So and then I'm sure they did it for the Chili Bowl. I wasn't necessarily watching when they did the presentation of the flags
Jeffrey
of the states and
Abbey.
the countries. Yeah, Jeffrey
How about
Abbey was
Jeffrey
there.
Abbey? Dude,
He was a
he
top
had he
16
was
on his
pretty
qualifying
good.
night. Yeah,
He was
yeah,
pretty damn impressive. Like, he looked a little tight. He was trying to get that little blue and white A car to turn, but, like, one thing we've learned, dude, is like, dude, Jeffrey Abbey, he just ain't too shabby, is he? Like, dude could just wheel
no,
anything, man. He's, just what a phenomenal race car driver, man. I always get so proud watching those guys, do a different discipline, right? Just hopping in something foreign to you. I know he's attempted it before, and so when you go back each time, that's the thing about it, Cortland. Like if you went last year, you probably didn't learn enough because you're only on the track, so much amount of time, and with the minor
yeah,
amount of experience you have, you know that the cards are stacked against you, so you have to log a lot of laps here and try to hopefully remember it so you can translate and bring it back over to the next year and hopefully get more of a sample size and get more of an opportunity to get out there and make some more laps. Yeah, I was really proud of Jeffrey Abbey, man. He really he showed some strength and speed this week. He should be proud of himself. The last thing I wanted to talk about tonight, or just as fun, I was looking over some results from a year ago, and I noticed that okay, we've had the conversation in the Arklatex region about the USRA factory stock class. You know, who's the most dominant driver? Well, for the longest of time, it was 36J Justin Whitehead. He's got the most King of the Hill wins, of course, the most Cajun Classics. But over the last 5 or 6 years, the 27 car Dalton Faulkner has really, really risen to the occasion and made his presence felt. And let's be honest, has he taken the king? Has he taken the crown as far as being the king of the factory stocks, or is that still up for debate? Because hey, last year, and I know a couple of these wins were limited modified wins for Whitehead, and Faulkner is just straight factory stock. Actually, I think a couple of those wins are in hobby stocks at 105 too. So I think they end up, I'd have to go back and look, but Dalton Faulkner and Justin Whitehead a year ago, or in 2025, both had 20 wins apiece. And my question is, in 2026, I'm not going to ask you what races they're going to win or this and that, or if Whitehead's going to regain the crown, this, because anybody could be on top this year. It could be Neil Kemp. It could be Mark Underwood. It could be anybody. Man, who's to say that Logan Hughes isn't ready to turn a corner? Or maybe my boy Luke Daniel. Who really knows who's ready to really grab some checker flags this year? And that's what I'm excited about. But these two guys, we know what they're made of, and we know they're consistent. We know that all these guys who are ready to make a name for themselves are still going to have to beat the 27 and the 36J. So 20 wins a year ago. Who wins more races in 2026? And I'm putting you on the spot. I want to know who you think wins more races in 2026. This is just for fun. Who do you think wins more, Faulkner or Whitehead in 2026? Who wins more?
Give me the 3-6 Mafia, my guy. Justin Whitehead, Jaws, 3-6 Mafia, 36J. He's going to come out here this year, and Daff will be just as fast as he's ever been. That 27 car ain't going nowhere neither. But 36J, he's going. I think he'll have more wins in the factory stock.
Over, under. Let's just do it from there. Over and under.
Yeah.
Let's just do 19.5 because he had 20 last year.
Yep.
19.5. Over, under.
I wish I knew if he was committing fully to the factory stocks or going other things, but I'm gonna take the over. I think it was this past year. It was like that sneaky speed where it's like he's just, not that he needs to get better, but he's just he was always there, but just didn't have that breakaway 36J speed that we had come accustomed to in years past. But I think this rolling in, I say next year, we're here, bud. It's 2026. It's January of 2026. We're here this year. Give me the 36 Mafia, 3-6 Mafia, 36J is going to go over 19.5. Give me 21 wins. We can go back and make fun of me when he wins 18 or if he wins 35 of them, whatever it may be. I'm going to take 21 wins. I'm going to go even a 1.5 over the over you're giving because I really think that they got some speed. I think he's kind of rekindled some stuff, figured some things out, and I think 36J will have more wins than Dalton Faulkner.
So we're just
who do you have, friend?
I'm going to go Faulkner. He's just been on a roll these last couple of years. And like you said, I'm not sure if Justin's going to plan on maybe running the stock car a little bit more this year. I'm not really sure, but we know that Faulkner is going to be loaded for bear. And again, it could go either way, but I think the 27 over under, I'm going to go under. I'm going to go over for overall wins. I think he'll pick up 23 total wins this year. A few of those coming in the hobby stock down in there at 105. I have two more drivers. This will be the last thing. I got two more versus. Former King of the Hill winner Mark Underwood Jr. had 9 total wins a year ago, but he only had 2 in a factory stock. CJ Howell, arguably one of the elites in the factory stock. You would say all 4 of these drivers, like Faulkner, Whitehead, Underwood, CJ, you'd probably put them in your top 10, maybe even your top 5, top 7. They're up there. CJ Howell had 12 total wins last year, all coming in a factory stock. 9 total wins for Mark Underwood, only 2 in a factory stock. Again, we saw a lot of bad luck out of that 125 camp last year. Had a lot of strength, had a lot of speed, got that brand new Outlaw race car. And man, he was up front. Like, I think he was up front near the 30,000 again. Ran into some bad luck. King of the Hill, bad luck. He almost went back to back in that deal. Who gets more wins in 2026? Mark Underwood Jr. And we're just talking about factory stock racing, okay? Mark Underwood Jr. or CJ Howell, who has more wins in 2026?
I love the 3-digit number gang of 125, but I'm gonna not quite yet, my friend. I think CJ Howell have more factory stock wins. I really do. I love the 3-digit gang. I love Lou Lyles, Mark Underwood Jr. Just a little side story here. Mark was one of the I just remember off the top of my head, he's one of the racers that messaged me on the weekend of my dad's memorial race, and because they were up there at 67 running that factory stock frenzy, and he was one that he was like, man, I'm so sorry to miss it. We just couldn't pass up the money. And I was like, man, no big deal. Like, you're racing for 7,500 to win factory stocks, go get it done. But I say all that to say CJ Howell have more wins, and I think the Force chassis, when they rolled out last year, like, dude went on a tear. I think he got the trial and testing and doing a little bit of R&D, and maybe put himself out in left field a little bit. I'm not saying it was far out in left field because the 2-car was still competitive, but I think he maybe tried and errored a little bit too much. And I think he'll reel it back in and have that Force chassis rolling around there just as good as it was at the beginning of the year in 2025. And the only reason I say that also to kind of lend to it, my boy Mark, like, he races everything in the world. So I'm doing a little sleeper here. He's going to be racing the crate late and the limited
Yeah.
a bunch, so he won't be able to race the factory stock as much as maybe CJ. So that's kind of why I'm giving the edge to CJ there. I think that's two very good guys that when you put them up hand in hand with how much bad luck that Mark had last year, he probably had 3 or 4 wins that were just easily taken away from him just because of whatever may have happened that night. But give me the 2-car CJ Howell Force chassis. They got cooking something up. They're cooking something up down there. And and then another thing, I really like seeing CJ break out and do his own thing. You see a lot of outlaw race cars. We had Laser there for a little while. IRP's building some chassis, but to kind of go out on a limb and build his own stuff, and doesn't have a whole lot of cars out there, so he's kind of R&D by himself, and learning a lot. But I think he'll reel it in this year, and he'll probably go out there, and I'm gonna go ahead and say what's your over under for wins for CJ Howell? Or you can pick Mark Underwood or CJ Howell first, but you're good at setting this over under number as well.
11.5 for CJ Howell, or for both. 11.5. 11.5.
I'm gonna go under for both of them, honestly.
Okay.
I'm
gonna
under for
take
both
CJ.
of them.
I think CJ is going to bounce back with a vengeance. I think the first half of his year last year was flawless, and I think the end part just didn't quite go to his expectation. And I think the young man's been working hard in the shop this offseason. I think CJ will have 15 plus wins this coming year. I think he'll get back on that 2023, 2024 trajectory that he was on, and he'll get back into victory lane quite a few times this year. And hey, each week we'll make it a little bit different. Next week we might do mods. We might do B mods next week, but leading up to the season opener, we're going to do late mod, maybe regional comp cams one week. I don't know, but next week we'll do B mods. The week after that we'll do mods, and we'll do something different each week. Maybe we'll even do tuners. I don't give a damn. We're just here to have some fun. So, hey, I love tuners. I don't care. I'm sure my boy Michael McEachern would love to be a part of the conversation around here.
I guarantee it,
buddy. Man, I appreciate you, dude. I told you I was a little flustered coming in tonight. For some reason, my webcam didn't want to work, so I showed up about 20 minutes late, maybe even later than that, but it wouldn't work. I don't know what the deal was. Technology is a pain in the ass sometime. And then
it is.
Whatever notes I did have, I restarted my computer thing. It was going to fix the problem, and I lost all my notes the last second. So, like, we literally, I feel like I struggled through this thing, but I feel like we did okay. I feel like we did just fine. And so I try not to stress about things. I try not to stress about things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But you always talk about the separations and the preparation, and you prepare yourself for this podcast, and then the last second you get a rug pulled out from underneath you, and you just got to roll the punches at that point. So you know what I mean. So it is what it is. No excuses here, man. I love doing this with you, dude. Do you have anything else? Oh, by the way, Mark Underwood Jr. This is a good way to end this thing, and a great segue. Mark Underwood Jr. is loaded up, headed down I-20 right now. You know where he's headed. He is headed to Volusia Speedway Park as the Volusia Sunshine Nationals kicks off tomorrow night with the World of Outlaws late model series, or Thursday night. They kick off tomorrow night. They kick off with practice. But the World of Outlaws are about to get after it at Volusia 1.0. So that's a lot to look forward to. We'll be looking forward to watching Mark down there racing his crate late model. So yeah, everybody check out Dirt Vision if you ain't got it, and watch some good racing.
I will say the perfect way to end this, because it's the last couple things I had wrote down. Rolling into Volusia, just some storylines to look into. I kind of mentioned them as my disappointment, and not a disappointment in a bad way. But B. Shep will be back in the Rocket One. You hope that he has turns this thing around. They normally are known to run very well at Volusia. The Rocket One camp does. So B. Shep in the Rocket One at Volusia to see if he can bounce back from his Wild West Shootout performance. And then also keep an eye on Brandon Overton back. The car and the team is back in his shop or closer to home, as far as I know, and gonna do it on his own terms this year. Essentially, he's gonna do it back like he did when he was dominating the 76. So be interesting to see how Overton bounces back this year after splitting from the Longhorn Factory team, but still in the Riggs Motorsports ride. Another thing we alluded to are the tempers, and is the intensity going to stay that high the rest of this year? We roll into Volusia. We'll find out here in a couple nights. We'll find out Thursday night if the tempers and the intensity is going to stay that high. It'll be really interesting to see Josh Rice head down there. And I know he had a couple starts there in the JRR car, at least one or two to kind of end the year. But for him to have Randall Edwards on the wrenches, we talked about Rice before, about the guy that deserves a full-time ride and going out on a tour. I'll be interested to see him head down to Volusia. Got Randall Edwards turning the wrenches on it. And also, man, this World of Outlaws field that we've started up, it's a pretty good field. We roll into Speed Weeks. We can talk about this another time, but the World of Outlaws field, now that certain names are getting thrown in the hat that are you don't know yet, but word on the street is this, word on the street is that. I could be some of those people that love to blast stuff out there before accredited sources roll out, but go ahead. Yeah. What you got?
Big Perm's jumping on that tour after spending the last 3 on the Lucas Oil Tour. Tyler Erb is going back to the World of Outlaws this year when he hasn't been dedicated to a tour. He's just run the UMP Summer Nationals the last 2 years. That's going to be fun, having Turbo back on that tour. So bringing the fun tour to the World of Outlaws should be fun. Ethan Dotson will be back on tour. Drake Troutman. I mean, Bobby Pierce, obviously. Dude, yeah, I think
Hoffman, Gustin, McCready, Dennis Erb Jr., you can sit there, you can go down the whole list, Dustin Sorensen, Jake Tim, and then, you got list. And Trey Mills jumping on there this year. We're going to run for World of Outlaws Rookie of the Year. So, really, you start devving it up and looking at it. And there's a couple more names that are floating around there that it's a possibility of going, or the papers are signed but not released yet, like I said, I'm not going to be the one to sit here and blast news. Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out soon, because Speed Weeks this year, they do overlap. So you'll figure out who's going to be on what tour relatively early, unless weather changes that. So we can talk about that another day. But just some of the headlines rolling into Volusia. World of Outlaws field is just as strong as ever. A couple of storylines: is the intensity going to keep up? Is B Ship going to bounce back in the Rocket One? Everything's going to go on. Are we going to have another 49-1 incident at Volusia? Who knows? Like, it just that's what we're here for, man. We roll off. Racing's back. Speed Weeks is starting up. I absolutely love the Wild West Shootout, but I'll be the first one to tell you, when Speed Weeks rolls around, this and Summer Nationals,
I love it.
If you're a spectator at home, just about every night here, starting up pretty soon, whether it's at Volusia or something on Flow, Dirt Vision, Flow, some streaming company or another will have a race on here for probably every day of the week for the next month and a half. So find a way to watch and tune in if you're a dirt track lover like we all are, and check it all out, man. It's going to be 2026, Zach, dude. I remember when the off season hit, we're like, how are we going to get to 2026? And here we are. It's right around the corner, and before too long, we'll start talking about the Ronnie Adams Memorial at Boot Hill Speedway and kicking off racing around the Arklatex,
Yeah, man, I can't wait. Looking forward to it, and really looking forward to watching Volusia, man. That track gets it on. The racing should be good. They put some new clay on it, and they've really given that facility a really much-needed facelift. World Racing Group owns that property, and it's a really, really nice place. I'd love to go down there one year, man. Just take a venture. You only live once. I don't want to die one day and having thought to myself, whenever I'm going to heaven, that Lord, I never got to go to the Gator Nationals or the Dirt Car Nationals.
It's cool. It's a dope
he's probably
place,
gonna say,
man.
Son, you didn't do a lot of things you should have done. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's all I got, dude. Great job tonight. Love talking racing with you, man. Thanks everybody for hanging out. If you hung out with us at this point. Hey, by the way, last week you had a few people message you. I had a few people message
Yeah.
me. So I think we got over. There may have been 6 or 7, not 3 or 4. There may have been 6 or 7, but we had 6 or 7 that made it to the final whistle with us last week. So for that, we give you a round of applause and we appreciate it. A couple air horns on here. Anyway,
thank you. I don't know why. I don't know why y'all listen to this show. I have no idea. Whenever I figure it out, I'll start doing that a lot more for whatever reason that is. But we appreciate y'all for making it this long. It's
I'm gonna tell you why they listen, because we actually have really good race talk here. And I'm gonna be honest, I think more people need to hear what we talk about. I don't think you and I don't share this thing out enough. I just kind of hope that everybody just listens. And the people that do listen tell me they really enjoy it. And I think that if more people listen, I think they'd really enjoy it too. That's all I got. Everybody be blessed and be a blessing. We'll see you next time.
Holla.